Hi, this is Gordon Giltrap and welcome to another Guitar Practice Perfectly star interview. I'm here today with my old friend Nik Kershaw. I say old friend because Nick and I met way back in 1983 for Nick's very first video shoot for I Might Let the Sun Go Down on Me in Hever Castle. I was there with my ex-girlfriend at the time and our pet sheep. Could you believe that?
Obviously.
Anyway. And yeah, the way it came about, a friend of mine knew the guy who was actually making your film, and he said, "Look, do you want to come along to this shoot at Hever Castle?" I said, "Yeah, great." So bring the sheep. I said, "Oh, what do we have to do?" So he bunged the sheep in the back of the car, and that's where we first met. And I hadn't seen you, Nick, for years and years until about 2 years ago, and we were on the same bill at the Daphne du Maurier Festival in Foy.
Yep.
And I wanted to stay over an extra night to see you, and I did, and it was a great show, and we got kind of caught up. And what I was really touched by was the fact that you remembered that first meeting. And
well, how could you forget that meeting? That was like, you know, a completely surreal experience from start to finish.
Yeah. What am I doing there with the sheep?
What am I doing? Surrounded by chickens and a sheep supplied by Gordon Giltrap.
No, it was great, and without sounding too sycophantic, I've been a great admirer, and that's an understatement of your music ever since, from everything you've released onwards. And what I loved about your music, I mean, being a musician, obviously I saw beyond the videos and the production into the musicality of it all. And if I remember rightly, Nick, you played pretty much most of the instruments on those early albums.
Yes, I did. The first Human Racing album. Yeah, I played bass on that and guitar and a lot of the keyboards. We just shipped people in that didn't know what they were doing as far as keyboards and programming was concerned. Kind of halfway through it, just to sort of polish it all off. But yeah, mate, fundamentally it was my thing. Yeah.
Well, I was impressed. I thought, what a clever bloke. He plays all that.
They're just cheap. I don't know if I pay for musicians.
But I listened to those tracks. Particularly, it was taken with your bass playing. It was very well crafted. That's the only way I could describe that album. Incredibly well crafted. Everything, every note was just precisely played. The guitar tone, the overdrive, everything was so perfectly in place. I was impressed with that. Outside of that, I was incredibly impressed with the compositions. And I've always been of the opinion, and I think many people since then have realised that your music is very much akin to progressive rock, more than, dare I say it, pop music.
I was a big prog fan.
You were? Yeah, I think that came through. I think that came through in the music, really. But I remember reading somewhere that you were a huge fan of Alan Holdsworth, like we all are. Any guitar player that's worth his salt will be impressed and blown away by the man's genius and his technicality. Did you ever try and play that kind of stuff?
I gave it. Do you know what? It was all just a bit too. It's just beyond me, really. I mean, I couldn't find any way into it. Most guitar players, you've got a reference point. You know, I used to slow down Richie Blackmore solos and Jeff Beck solos and try and get to grips. But even it doesn't matter how much you slow down an Alan Holdsworth solo, it's still too fast. It's still too fast.
It's still too fast.
So I just and it's very jazz based, and I don't have the rudiments and the fundamental kind of knowledge, of jazz scales and stuff to figure out what he's actually doing.
Yeah, I think with Alan, he has such a unique way of playing. No one plays like that, and it's a different mindset. But we're not here to talk about Alan Holdsworth. I want to chat to you about your influences. You mentioned Jeff Beck and Richie Blackmore. Were those guys your early influences, your early heroes? Let's go back to the beginning of your guitar playing.
Guitar-wise, I think, yeah, Richie would have been pretty much first, I think.
Yeah.
That would have been, when was Made in Japan, that album, that was the first kind of album I really got seriously started, taping it and slowing it down. And
was guitar your first instrument, would you say? Because you play all these other instruments as well.
It was. I was quite late coming to it. I was about 15 or 16. Growing up, I always remember there used to be a white acoustic guitar stuck in the corner next to the piano. There was a piano there, which no one ever played. I don't know why it was there. My dad didn't play the piano. Nobody I knew played the piano. The guitar. and it was important. It was a Spanish guitar, but it had steel strings on it.
So the action would have been.
And the action was like that.
Yeah.
It was unplayable. And it was painted with white emulsion. It was a beautiful instrument. and it just but I'm kind of 15 years old or so. A mate of mine got an electric guitar, and I started singing a bit, and then I started picking up this white guitar at home and just trying to make some noises with it, and finally got myself one when I was about 16.
So that was the beginning of it. That is interesting. Did you have lessons?
No, I didn't. I had a kind of no, I've never had a guitar lesson. I had music lessons. I learnt the violin for a couple of years, and so I knew about the discipline of learning an instrument, I think. But although you don't really need it, because if you're passionate about it anyway, you just you just lock yourself away because you love it so much.
Absolutely, you're just drawn to it. It becomes a passion, and so it's not like practice. You just can't stop playing it. You have to pick it up and play it. Has the guitar been the main influence with your songwriting? When you're writing songs, have you always written them on guitar? No,
it wasn't. Especially when I started writing a lot, which is like early 80s. Keyboard players were having all the fun, all the technology. So I started getting into that. Although I don't play the piano at all. But I can type, that's what. And I'm good with computers.
So you played it with both hands, right?
Well, no, right. There was that finger, I think, I played most of the keyboard parts with. We just messed about with the gear, arpeggiators and stuff, and just making noises with these keyboards. Although most of the songs at that time didn't emanate from any particular instrument. They were just in my head. They just turned up, and I kind of just recorded them on whatever they sounded best on. Which kind of is great, because I'm not restricted to any technique or limitation I have in any technique in any instrument, so I can just anything goes up there. Which just kind of explains some of the more bizarre chord sequences or modulations and stuff, because you wouldn't do that on a guitar. In fact, recently when I've been doing solo acoustic stuff and having to transcribe that onto a guitar, it's become a nightmare, because they're just not guitar-friendly songs at all.
I found that working with Oliver Wakeman, you try and play keyboard lines on the guitar, it's a real challenge.
Yeah.
It certainly has been for me, and I think it's nice. It's nice to have those challenges to keep the brain working. The thing I find interesting, and has always fascinated me about anybody that I've respected and admired, is the creative process, because you sort of think, where does that come from? What comes first? It seems to me there's no hard and fast rules. What came first with you? Was it the melody? Was it the lyrics?
You're right. There is no hard and fast rule, and I wish that I knew how to do it, because I don't.
Nobody knows, do they?
Because when you really need it, and you sit down in the studio and there's nothing happening, you think, well, how did I write that song, or how do you do that? I don't know. Sometimes the best ones just turn up, and you can't legislate for that.
They call it inspiration, don't they?
I don't know. It just
that doesn't come from
It just. And they'll turn up with there'll be a bit of a melody and a few words and stuff that suggest themselves, and then you just spend the rest of the time just constructing the thing from that idea. But if you don't have the idea in the first place, I'm not very good at. I spent most of the 90s kind of writing songs to order, because I wasn't recording. I was just writing for other people and stuff, and dealing with A&R men and publishing people.
Was that a painful experience for you?
It was a very instructive time, and it was great to do, and I learnt a lot about songwriting and what to do and what not to do. But I found it a really real challenge going into a room for a specific project, and you've got to write a song for so and so, he wants this kind of thing, and writing to a brief.
It's almost like the Carole King thing, going back to the early days of the Brill building, when they would go in and they would come out with a song. Did you, when you look back at those early songs, and they were wonderful, do you sort of think, well, how did I do that? Where did I start? I know with my own compositions, you just do it a bar at a time. It's like a piece of jigsaw, putting the pieces into the jigsaw, and then at the end of the day, you go, oh,